Hey everyone, it's me, Arthur Kade, Carmine and Tom, making a new movie and doing a road trip.
Yeah.
Why didn't you invite me? That's the major question. Carmine, you're the producer, director, writer. You couldn't have made an invitation?
I was calling, it was busy somehow. I don't know.
My character has gone through a wife that's just passed away, and he started drinking, and his kids are mad at him, and he makes a little discovery about something, so he kind of pulls it together at least to get the bike out of the garage and shine it up and get it running again. And his old buddy from Vietnam happens to live on Long Island, not in a different town, but close by. And he says, "I'm going with you." And then it's like a road movie, and we're kind of like Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid, and that kind of humor. And, yeah.
Putting a movie together is not easy. People don't realize, like you're talking about getting financing.
No.
For a lot of people, that takes a decade. How hard is it as an independent filmmaker to make it happen?
It's very hard. I started writing this script in 2002, so that tells you how the process slowly progresses. I mean, sometimes you get a couple steps ahead where you're like, "Ooh, I see some progress," and then it just stops. But you have to believe in what you're making.
You went to school for journalism. I had no idea.
Yeah.
You ever think about, had I become a journalist?
I do, and my thought at the time was sports journalism. I did a narration for a documentary on Bob Uecker, and then they sent me a copy of it, and my wife and I were in the living room and we were watching it, and she goes, "Well, where's your voice?" I go, "I don't know." I go, "Okay, we got to start over from the beginning, but all this sounds familiar, but that's not me." And we listened again, and I go, "It is me." And I kid you not, I sounded like Bob Costas. And I didn't even know that my voice sounded different.
Speaking of Uecker, and I'd mentioned Major League,
Yeah.
did you have any idea? You guys are making that movie. It's that ragtag group of A-listers. Everyone's a major name at that time. Do you have any idea this movie would become one of the great sports movies of all time?
I thought so, and I just thought the script was wonderful. It was very funny and very touching at the end. I thought, it really gets
We
to
were
the
talking
heart.
about
Yeah.
it. There's no scene at the end better than, wow,
well,
thanks.
I actually get tears in my eyes at the end when they win because you're just rooting for them so hard, and so it's got the heart, but it has the humor too, and it's got great baseball stuff in it because David Ward knew what he was doing, as a writer and a director. He knew what he was doing.
You had some characters in that cast.
Oh, yeah.
The lead of them all, the
Yeah.
great of them all, Charlie Sheen.
Yep.
Give me some good Charlie Sheen stories.
Well, I mean, I have to tell you that, when we did that first one, Charlie was extremely disciplined. The first day he threw to me, and it was just him and Yeager and I at the beginning there, but he threw 10 pitches, and 9 of them were right on the edges of the strike zone.
He could throw mid-90s.
Yes.
I heard.
Yeah. He had days where he could, but then your arm starts getting tired, and it's not like that's something he's doing professionally. But yeah, he probably could have. I thought it was somewhere around 90.
Another guy I get to work with who I'm a huge fan of my whole life, Oliver Stone.
Yeah.
Tell me about Oliver Stone.
Oliver Stone strikes me as our Hemingway. He even looks like like Hemingway did when he was young. There's even a resemblance there. And I did a interview with a French guy. He went, "Oh my God, you're right." I go, "Yeah, he's Ernest Hemingway."
Let's talk about 80s fame. That whole 80s group versus now. Could you have survived during the social media era? I just try to think, if I was in Hollywood in the 80s with Twitter and Instagram, how do you make it?
No, I don't think I could have. Of course, I'm of my period, and I go, so I got to do an audition, send it, and send it to a casting director. Like, there's no "Hi, how are you?" There's no talk before and after the scene. There's no, and that's it. Ooh. I got a problem with just the millennials in general.
They're an awful generation.
I know, and I've got like 6, 7 kids, and and grandchildren now and stuff, and I watch them and I do study them and things, but I worry about them, But I guess our parents were like that too.
As you're traveling with the Tom Berenger, who multiple generations know and is an iconic actor, what is that like for you?
We were at like a Harley Davidson dealership in Black Hills of South Dakota, and there was one guy just circling him, and his wife goes, "This guy's been looking at you with his mouth open," and then literally came over after somebody else did and just shook his hand and didn't say thank you, nice to meet you. Yeah, it was he, and he just walked away like in awe.
One guy up in Syracuse the other day, and he said, "You're the reason I joined the Marine Corps." I go, "Ah, boy, him there, I get that one again." And I've heard a few, and all of a sudden it hits me like how old I am. Like, you know, and I remember doing that recruiting speech as Marine Gunnery Officer Barlow. Recruiting station, Babylon, New York, whatever, and I got the dress blues with Korean War medals, and I'm giving a pitch, you know, for the Marine Corps, and Tom Cruise is like, "Whoa," and he goes, "I want to join." And I met a DI at Parris Island because I live in South Carolina, and he said he showed sniper and platoon to his training battalions.
Tonight's the Emmys. You won an Emmy for Hatfield and McCoy. What's it like to win an Emmy? For those tonight who are going to carry home that trophy, what's that feeling?
Well, it was pretty great. I mean, the character was something else. He really was. And a real character as well in history, but definitely psychotic. But and I was having so much fun with it. I mean, he's kind of funny in a sick way too. It's like it was kind of like a Jack Nicholson role. Like you could eat up the scenery and nothing you did was wrong. It all worked.
You could tell he liked playing a psycho. You should have turned him into a psycho guy traveling the country.
He may.